Well, good morning. The little elves, you know, they have a union now, got into my calendar and gave me an incorrect date for giving my sermon. So I wrote my sermon on a different passage, but it still fits today. It really still fits today because it's also the Gospel of John. And I'd like to read just that one portion right now before I fall into it, as it were. Jesus answered him, "Those who love me will keep my word, and my Father will love them, and we will come to them and make our home with them. Whoever does not love me does not keep my words, and the word that you hear is not mine, but is from the Father who sent me. I have said these things to you while I am still with you, but the Advocate, the Holy Spirit, whom the Father will send in my name, will teach you everything, and remind you of all that I have said to you. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. I am going away and I am coming to you. If you love me, you would rejoice that I am going to the Father, because the Father is greater than I. And now I have told you this before it occurs, so that when it does occur, you may believe." The term, "I am still with you," remember that. I admit it, I'm not a scholar, and I'm not a big fan of the Gospel of John. For me, the language gets in the way of the message. That's for me. I can't speak for anybody else. And is far less clear to me than the other three Gospels. Having said that, I knew that if I did some digging behind this Gospel, I would understand the passage a little better. And then it came to me. I heard a quote recently, best put by the following, by Blaise Pascal, a 17th century mathematician and theologian. And he said, "There is a God-shaped vacuum in the heart of each man which cannot be satisfied by any created thing, but only by God the Creator, made known through Jesus Christ." I think these words are monumental, and they're as apt today in the 21st century as they were in the 17th. God-shaped vacuum. God resides in our hearts. Jesus resides there. We work hard and spend a lot of energy, time, and money filling that hole, or what we might see as an unarticulated gap inside ourselves. Many of us don't always recognize the presence who asks to be our complete and total satisfaction. And we continue to look for that superficial by wearing the right clothes, having the right kind of car, having the right kind of job or friends, whatever it is that fills that hole in the short term and tells us that we all have worth and value as living people. Our need for that kind of instant gratification perhaps could be a reason why fantasy, science fiction, theme parks, casinos, drugs, excessive alcohol are such huge factors in this day and age. Have you ever been in a casino? The first time I went to a casino was after I moved to Samaritan Village. The bus took monthly trips to Spirit Mountain for the day. I was curious and frankly scared at all the time. I budgeted a small amount of money, very small, realistically what I could afford to lose. And believe me, $20 doesn't get you very far. No more than that. When we arrived and everyone scattered to their favorite slot machines, I was frozen just inside the door, taking in all the stimuli of the place. The flashing lights, the ding-ding-ding of the slot machines, the huge clouds of cigarette smoke that permeated the entire place, even the non-smoking area. I wasn't sure what to do except just sit down. And every seat in the casino was either in front of a slot machine, or in a bar or a restaurant, or in the keno room where they also sold ice cream. There were no clocks, no view of outside light except at the doors where I stood so long before I ventured inside to the unknown. The soft drinks and coffee were free. The food was cheap, plentiful, and good. Those perks were well designed to keep people inside the casino. The entire ambiance drew me into a different world, almost literally. The goal became to win, to satisfy that deep need for success, which, as you know, in our society is often measured by dollars. Perhaps that's cynical, but it is true. I sat down in front of a slot machine that looked interesting, and I put in my first dollar. Wow, I won 20 cents. The machine went wild with lights and good job and attaboys, and the rest, as they say, was history. Until we got on the bus later on, the time went by in a blur. I almost forgot to eat lunch. For that time, I was taken in by the gratification of putting in dollars so I could win more good jobs and attaboys and more small amounts of change, and of course, more self-gratification. I didn't want to quit. I also wanted to put in more so I could get my money back. Even perhaps my feeling of success or satisfaction was even lost, even though that was lost. Though I did lose all the money that I had brought. Of course, the odds are not in favor of winning that money back. By mid-afternoon, there were a lot of people in that place who were pumping their hard-earned dollars into the machines, hoping for a miracle, maybe to buy a house, or feel the relief of having some money, or maybe even so they could feed their kids, feel good about themselves, pay the mortgage, fix the car, or whatever. For 99.99% of those folks, the miracle did not come. The looks on their faces of most of the people told a deeper tale than the false promise of the lights, the ding-ding-dings, the attaboys, the good jobs, and many faces showed desperation, boredom, unhappiness, and absolute unawareness of their surroundings. Some were in those same seats from the moment I walked in until we left at 3 o'clock that afternoon. They had not moved from their chairs. The God-shaped space in them had not been filled or felt. Now, to be truthful, I have subsequently returned to Spirit Mountain once. And the last time I did, I came home $100 to the good. I handed the money to Craig Massey for the organ fund, and I said, "This is courtesy of the Confederated Tribes of the Grand Ronde." I have not been back to Spirit Mountain since. God is patient and yearns to be inside of each of us. It's hard for us to feel God's presence when we're busy seeking satisfaction in short-term ways that reward us with false praise, good job, and elated feelings that quickly fade. It takes discipline and plenty of practice to become quiet, to shove the need for material goods and words out of the way, and allow God's voice and holy presence to have a place within us. We want to make room for that. Each of us as a child of God has a place in our heart for God, for the Holy Spirit, or whatever we choose to call that Creator who dwells within. God is patient, and even if we slip back into those short-term ways of feeling satisfied, God waits for us to come back to that inner space and to be in His presence.